Als een icoon uit de 60s overlijdt, stel je je de vraag: wie was die man nu eigenlijk en waarvoor stond hij? Ik probeer er met enkele quotes zicht op te krijgen. Opmerkelijk gegeven voor een muzikant. Brian Wilson was een autodidact.
I was a self-taught musician, like 4 freshmen. I learned the 4 freshmen.
So there was never a music lesson for you?
2 months of accordion lessons once when I was a kid. That's all I had. Other than that, I was self-taught.
Hij was zich bewust van zijn genialiteit, maar hij kon dat relativeren.
Because I do have an ingenious attitude about music, although there are other people that are just as good a genius or better than me, so it's all relative, you know.
Nog een opmerkelijk gegeven voor een muzikant van zijn allure. Hij was aan één kant doof en belandde daardoor in het spoor van Beethoven.
And my right ear is deaf.
And how long has it been that way?
Since I was born. I was born deaf in my right ear.
Nog zo'n verbazingwekkend element in Brian Wilsons leven is dat de Beach Boys zongen over surfen, maar dat hij zelf nooit had gesurfd, het zelf niet kon.
I never surfed. I never could.
God Only Knows was Brian Wilsons favoriete Beach Boys song die hij zelf geschreven had.
Well, I'm most proud of God Only Knows. I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you. I think it was a very beautiful chord pattern. The melody was lilting and beautiful. I like that. It's my favorite one.
And that's also a song that Carl sang.
Yeah, he sang that one. I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you. His singing was like everybody's favorite. He was like the biggest. He was a giant.
Good Vibrations kwam door een blaffende hond.
When I was around, I don't know, 10, 12 years old, my mom and I were walking to the market one day, and a dog started barking at us. And I went, Mom, why is that dog barking at us? She goes, son, because some dogs pick up vibrations from people and not from other people. And when they pick up bad vibrations, they bark. And so I said, well, what about good vibrations? She said, well, sometimes they pick up good vibrations.
Hoe kon Brian Wilson zulke mooie melodieën als God Only Knows en Good Vibrations schrijven? Zette hij zich achter zijn piano en zocht hij naar een akkoordenschema dat een mooie melodie voortbracht? Of hoe deed hij dat precies? George Martin, producer van de Beatles, vroeg naar de inspiratie van zijn muziek.
At times, it's almost an unconscious thing, you know. I believe that songwriting is an unconscious thing. I don't think that anybody can really concentrate on music and write music. I think it comes from a higher place in your mind. I'm almost sure of that. I can almost bet on it.
It comes from the heart.
It comes from the heart. It's like your heart writes the music. Your brain, you can see these keys and you can relate to how the different chords relate to each other. But I think the real music being made comes from your heart. Yeah.
I may not always love you, as long as there are stars above you.
Nu we het toch zijdelings over de Beatles hebben. Had Brian Wilson een boontje voor de Beatles?
The Beatles! I want to hold your hand and everything. Oh, I just couldn't believe it. Oh, She Loves You was fantastic. From me to you, I saw her standing there. Anyway, it was a trip running across the Beatles.
Toen hij voor het eerst de LP Rubber Soul van de Beatles hoorde, was hij door de hand Gods geslagen.
Do you remember the first time you heard Rubber Soul?
I remember I heard it sometime in 1965. That's the coolest album I've ever heard in my life. It sounded like a collection of Beatles folk songs. That's the best way I can describe it. I don't know, just something very special how all the songs kind of were like a collection of songs that belong together. Like Pet Sounds.
Maar hebben de Beatles ook de sound van de Beach Boys beïnvloed?
Inspired when I heard that album.
So you went straight to the piano?
I went to the piano and I started plugging out chords and eventually wrote it.
God only knows.
Yeah. We were kind of like rivals, but we turned each other on, you know. It was like we inspired each other to do better.
Pet Sounds was er voor Sgt. Peppers. En er is sprake van dat zij Sgt. Peppers hebben beïnvloed. Maar het was dan ook een heel bijzondere LP.
First album that really expressed music to people, real music. Not just rock and roll like Serving the USA, but real music. you know. And it was really a very definite breakthrough for the Beach Boys musically.
In een vroeger interview vertelde Brian Wilson hoe ze de Phil Spector wall of sound trachten te imiteren.
In Pet Sounds, we utilized what we call the Phil Spector technique, which in the 20th century, it's quite a scientific advancement in music and sound. Namely, that it's taking instruments and combining them to form them into a new sound. In other words, if you took a piano and a guitar and combined them properly, sound-wise, mixed the two sounds together, you come up with a new instrument or a new sound. And say you use 3 guitars and 3 pianos, well, that's 6 right there. It's a great sound, and such as combining different forms of horns together and strings and voices combined together to make certain sounds. These are technological advances in music, and we've used them.
Het enorme succes van de Beach Boys had een negatieve invloed op Brian Wilson. Hij verviel in een depressie, raakte aan de drugs en zou een hele tijd aan de kant blijven.
Generally what I considered a recluse period where I was confined in my bedroom. I was taking drugs, I was snorting cocaine, which I don't agree with. I mean, I don't get behind anyone snorting cocaine. It's a very bad drug, but I did, and I did it. I had a lot of money, of course I'm a millionaire, and I was able to get a hold of all these drugs.
En de enorme smak geld die hij verdiende, verdween, smolt weg als sneeuw voor de zon.
Oh, I made millions of bucks. Unfortunately, I didn't retain that much money. A lot of my investments went kaput. But I'm saying that a lot of people went so far as to say drugs were the messiah. And I tend to react very personally to something like that. That money can buy happiness. Let's face it, when you can get money, you're a lucky person like I was. Drugs were expensive, I could afford it.
Door de enorme royalties die hij van zijn songs verkreeg, kon hij uiteindelijk zijn welstand opnieuw opbouwen en kon hij vastgoed verwerven en zich verrijken met een enorme collectie van luxueuze auto's. In de jaren 80 begon hij solo op te treden en distancieerde hij zich van de Beach Boys. Hij trad niet meer met hen op. Een van de redenen was zijn onmin met Mike Love, die hij absoluut niet kon appreciëren.
I don't like Mike Love at all. Because I don't like his attitude is too egotistical.
Toch vond hij Mike Love een goede zanger. En op een bepaald moment had hij enorm spijt dat hij niet met hen had samengezeten voor de opname van de hit Kokomo. Die werd geschreven door John Phillips van de Mamas en de Papa's en Scott McKenzie, je kent hem wel, de man van San Francisco, die enorme wereldhit.
Yeah, but look at those Beach Boys. Look at how they're doing, you know? Look at those boys out there. And they're great singers. Mike Love. Everybody knows a little place like Kokomo.
That's where you wanna go to get away from it all.
Great record. I wasn't on that record. They called me up 4 hours before the session. They go, come on down and do some recording. I go, I have a prior commitment, I can't come. All right, bye. Then when I heard what they did, I said, oh my God, I'm not on Kokomo. Why aren't I on Kokomo? You know?
Toch heeft Brian Wilson zich altijd een Beach Boy gevoeld.
Are you still a Beach Boy?
Yeah, but not as much as I used to be. I'm still a Beach Boy, yeah, but I don't tour with the Beach Boys.
Brian Wilson laat 2 dochters na en een heleboel kleinkinderen.